Elon Musk has contended for quite a while that the machine that builds the machine is the real product, and as a recent Bloomberg article shows, he's actually done it. For those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks, and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. I'm in the middle of working on a paper for SIGGRAPH, and if you're reviewing for SIGGRAPH, accept our paper. Anyway, so I'm super busy, but I just wanted to do a real quick episode here that talks about this particular article by Bloomberg. It's a really good article, but basically what it shows is that over the last several years, Tesla has come from essentially nowhere to being the most productive factory in the United States. This is not the world, but it's within the United States. So anyway, that's what the title says, Bloomberg article, right? So there you go. And then we have some numbers down here. Elon Musk, has he wants densely packed, vertically integrated, and unusually massive. And you can sort of see, how big the campus is. I've visited here, but I've only been to this area right here where the Tesla logo is in the parking lot. There's sort of a semi-public thing. Of course, they used to have tours of the place, but they don't really have that anymore, so that's a darn shame. But anyway, hopefully they'll have that again. Actually, hopefully what they'll do is have it in Texas. That would be even better. I'd love to see Gigafactory Texas. And that's actually something that, tails into this article. Right now they're talking about what's currently there, which is the Fremont factory, which as you know, it's their version 1.0 factory, and it was one that they didn't design from the ground up. So they already have several strikes against them, and yet still it's the most productive factory in the US this year. So let's take a look at some numbers here. There is the Toyota, well, actually Tesla's first. They have 50 cars per week. So of course they just took the annual production divided by 52, and that's what they got. And notice that they beat out Toyota, which actually was the biggest selling car in the United States last year, brand of car. They took over GM, as most people know at this point, but they produced 8427 per week. And so Tesla had them beat by well over 100 cars per week. And then there's BMW's South Carolina plant, which I've actually not visited inside, but I've gone and looked at that one as well. That's a beast of a plant. And then there's also Ford's plant in Michigan, which is way down. So anyway, the interesting thing here, and again, the article is linked in the description, of course, but that is this, which is this really cool sort of interactive thing where you can look at these plants and see how they've been doing. What's really fascinating here is look at 2014. You had this Nissan plant in Smyrna, Tennessee that was making 12,500 in the mid 2000s here, and they've all sort of collapsed over time, right? Right now they're only making just under 5,000 cars per week as opposed to 12,000. So there's a lot of them have gone down. And I also think it's interesting that a lot of these companies are saying chip shortage, that's what's caused the problem. But if you look at these trends, right, we're looking at 2016, 2017, it starts to fall off 2018, no chip shortage, still no chip shortage in 2019. 2020 is the first time, sorry about the train, 2020 is the first time that there's a real indication of chip shortage being a problem. And obviously there's a massive fall off that is down to 5,000 for Nissan. But most of these other companies you can see, sorry, the graphic is really cool, but it's also kind of tweaky as you move your mouse over it. You can see these guys pulling up and then they're going down over time. And 2020, obviously, for most of them is a big negative. But you can see the trend moving down even before that. And then there's like, oh, if I can get that guy there. So that's Stellantis in Michigan. But man, look at that. I mean, 2018, they went from 7,500 to 1,500 cars per week. So there's a lot of factories that have been having problems for a long time. And Tesla's really bucking the trend here by moving up, remaining flat in 2020, which again, because it was the pandemic year and all of that stuff, is really pretty impressive, and then moving up substantially in 2021. So moving along here, this is also really cool. Let's see if I can fit these all on the screen at the same time. I can. There you go. So you can see, and then there's Austin, Texas. So these are all scaled to the same size. But you can see that, even phase 1 of Austin is going to completely dwarf what's going on in Fremont. Fremont has tents and it has all sorts of crazy things that are going on. But what you've got going on in Texas is just a beast of a thing. And it's much more elegant looking. It's just one giant block. And of course, I expect that they'll be building out around this, making phases 2, 3, 4, etc. going on. You can see that Toyota, which was the kind of the juggernaut, I think, as they say in the article, but the main competition is really huge compared to these factories. And they're still unable to produce as many as Tesla is. And Elon Musk actually just this morning said that the Bay Area is particularly difficult to hire good engineers from, because a lot of them, I think the implication is that they could work for a software company as opposed to working for a hardware company where you have to get your hands dirty, and so it's difficult. So he was saying that was good, that was a problem in the Bay Area. I assume he's saying that, once we get to Texas, things will ease up a little bit because there's a little bit more of a roughneck sort of attitude about things. And I think, it's an oil state historically, and farming, of course. So people aren't as afraid to get their hands dirty as they are in the Bay Area. I think that's what Elon Musk is saying. That's his words, not mine. Well, anyway, it's my interpretation of his words. But anyway, I think that's really fascinating that he was saying that there's as much trouble as there is hiring in the Bay Area, and that should ease up in Texas also. But anyway, you can see these other plants here and how large they are. The interesting thing is I fully expect that Austin will be producing more cars. It will be a more efficient factory than Fremont, but the question is when. Certainly it won't be in 2022 because they're just starting off and they're going to lose a month or more because they haven't produced any cars yet. But maybe by like 2024, they'll be producing, more than 8,500 cars per week. So it could happen. Anyway, really, really fascinating article. Again, they're showing Texas here. So clearly, they're thinking that Texas is the next big thing. And it really is interesting to look at this building, because if you look at this shape, and I've driven down the highway before, this thing is about a mile long, I think. Approximately. It took about a minute to drive from one to the other. It's difficult to comprehend the scale of how big this thing is unless you actually kind of drive past it. But again, it's one big, gigantic building. And you can see all these other factories, including the Fremont factory, are kind of a bunch of buildings that are all sort of Legoed together. And you can see how Austin is a whole new concept. It's just this idea of one giant, take the raw material in, and then squeeze out. I guess I'm thinking like an extruder, one of those things that you can make pasta with. You take the raw material in and you squeeze it and out pops a car every few seconds out the other end. And then at the end of the article, I think it's interesting to look at this as well. Of course, this is Tesla's slice of the entire automotive market, US automotive market. And of course, they're producing a very, very tiny sliver of everything, but that's because these other companies like Toyota, GM, etc., have a whole bunch of factories. And so Tesla is producing out of only one factory an amazing amount, actually, considering how many factories these other manufacturers have. So even though they're the most efficient in terms of production per week, they're not producing that many cars yet relative to everybody else because they don't have that many factories. They only have a single one. But here comes Texas. It will be online sometime in the next month or two. And once that happens, they've got two factories. This, along with the Fremont factory, will be able to produce more than double the amount the Fremont factory is, because this is going to be so much more efficient. And again, it's only going to be producing Model Ys to start with. I expect the Cybertruck will be coming on eventually, maybe the Model 3, who knows. But anyway, you can also see it. I think they don't include, they don't include the size of the estate that they purchased, the land that they purchased. But this thing is absolutely massive. It goes way, way back there. So they've got 600 acres, I believe, reserved for a nature preserve and pretty walkways and things, which will probably be along the river. But they've got room to do, I think, at least 2 more factories like this size. So completely separate factories this size in just the area they've got. That's just a rough estimate if I'm remembering correctly. But anyway, this thing is going to be massive. I expect it'll be able to easily produce more than 10,000 cars a week once it really gets rolling. That may take a few years for them to get there, but it should blow away the Fremont factory's efficiency. So anyway, not only is Tesla the most efficient car manufacturer per factory in the United States right now, but that should improve drastically over the next couple of years. So this is just fascinating stuff. And again, as Elon Musk said, the machine that builds the machine is the real product, and that is the factory. And that's what he's talking about. Building a single car, not so hard, although for me it would be very hard. For someone like Joe Justice, it's easy, but for me it would be very difficult. But building a single car is one thing. Building, putting out cars every 30 seconds or less, that is a whole different thing. And obviously, it looks like Tesla is set to dominate not only now, but going into the future in this area. All right, I hope you enjoyed this quick little episode here and found it fun and thought-provoking. If you did, definitely like the video so other people can find it, and of course consider subscribing for more of this. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Thank you all so much. You're wonderful. I really appreciate your support. Thank you. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Thank you all so much for your help and your support. I really do appreciate it. And if you're interested in some awesome merch, check out the link in the description. We've got the Tesla Bot t-shirt, which is super popular these days. Don't mess with Tesla. Lots of other t-shirts, tumblers, mugs, etc. So check out the link in the description and help the channel out. And for those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks, and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Thank you. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a solar roof, a power wall, or anything on Amazon helps out the channel. In the meantime, I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.